Yo guys, Professor Theo here on Common Sense. Today it is my great pleasure to announce to you the release of my very first ever online course, and it's called The Consistent King, Jacked Man with a Plan. It is a habit, character and individual building course, and I'll explain that in a minute. The course contains a program, plan and strategies for training, diet, sleep, mindset and some more things that either kind of overlap here or are just a bit trickier to put into one category like that. But the point is that there is a Consistent King program. You will be given a structure for all of these things to follow, but within the structure there's going to be some flexibility, like let's say with a diet. If you're someone that's underweight, overweight or somewhere in the middle, it doesn't matter if you're going to focus on weight loss or building muscle. You can, for you, individualize within the grand given structure for these things. So the idea here is to come at these things, learn about these things, get good results with these things, from coming at it from the place of building the habits and character necessary for it, becoming the individual that knows these things well enough, but also stays consistent with adhering, complying, taking action on these things well enough in order to get the kind of result that you would like, all right? And I've chosen to call this archetype the Consistent King, because that's what it is. You become a king, and what defines this king is the consistency in all of these things. And I'm going to read you a fuller presentation of the archetype of the Consistent King in a bit. But the purpose of this video is, of course, I just want to present the course to you, what it looks like what you will be learning in it, exactly what the presentation of that looks like, what following the course looks like, the kinds of outcomes, results and goals you can expect to reach with it. But I'll start here by telling you the background, what led to me doing this particular course, what thoughts went into it. So most likely you're here from my YouTube channel or Instagram, and you will know some of my backstory, that I used to be that skinny, fat, loser, hedonist, nihilist, anxious, depressed sort of guy, pretty much the polar opposite of the Consistent King, some kind of inconsistent little, well, prince, if we're going to be nice, a little boy, you know. And, well, I had known then for a long time that I should do many things, like improve my lifestyle, diet and training and that, but I put it off, as so many people do. I went through this ordeal with panic attacks, something that was impossible to put off. I had to face it. Being grateful for the other second chance in life I felt I had been given, coming out on the other side. Now I decided, like, okay, let's actually take action on these things that I've been delaying for so long. And what I learned as I got into that was that it wasn't really the things that you'd think you have to focus on that mattered most. And as I was getting good results with things, and I saw other people and people started asking me things, I noticed that they also didn't quite understand what they should be focusing on, because of course certain information about training and diet, some kind of training program, some kind of diet philosophy at the very least you're gonna need, right? But it's not the lack of a perfect plan for any of these things, or not enough information, that is the problem for most people. In fact, that is the problem sometimes. Too much information, right? Well, it leads to what we call paralysis by analysis. Sitting with 10 ideas about one thing you've never even tried, you're just even more confused, right? I realized that okay plan that you could stay consistent enough with and have certain things in place with, that would always be better than a theoretically perfect plan that you couldn't manage the consistency and these other things that truly mattered with, right? So, to not bore you with everything I could say about that, that was my idea. You know, if you've followed me on Common Sense, you know that yeah, I'm a natural bodybuilding guy, I know fitness, I know health, absolutely, but I come at it from a different perspective, an uncommon perspective, right? And this course was really me sitting down and being like, how can I teach fitness, help people get in good shape by focusing on bringing everything that's worked so well for me, and just a minimum amount of information, because there is of course some information like you need, that I said. What I came up with, what's the concept of the Consistent King. I'm going to read you that little presentation of it here in a minute, but what I'll say is pretty much the entire regimen of this course. It is I could put it like this. This is what I do with everyone that I work with through my videos or coaching clients. I always try to give them what I do, but on their level, right? Everything that I consider part of my regimen important enough, but also all my strategies for actually how to make it happen, right? And well, let's continue on that in a bit. Let me just read you what I came up with. Now, I wanted to really define the archetype of the consistent king. The consistent king is the persona I came up with when I asked myself what I think makes me unique as a holistic fitness coach and practitioner, and made it all into one package others can emulate. The course contains a template that you will be following, but the long-term idea is that you will find your own way to embody the consistent king in your life after following and soaking in the contents of the course. The consistent king is an ideal to strive for. It is a way of being. Outwardly, the consistent king is muscular and lean. He embodies discipline and order. He has high energy and crushes goals. He is a man with a plan. He has a solid regimen that he sticks to a majority of the time, but when life throws him curveballs, he has a plan for that as well. For every excuse someone else would have, he has a solution. When someone else would give up, he rises again. He has solid boundaries for himself and others. He knows he'll never be perfect, but he consistently takes imperfect action closer towards perfection. He looks strong because he is strong. He looks good because he is good. He always has forward momentum because he always knows what he needs to do today and tomorrow and so on to be where he wants to be in a year, and focuses on consistently completing those steps on each day. He knows when and how to adjust. He may go through challenges. He might stumble on the road, but because of who he is, he always comes out on the top in the end. That's just the way he is. His entire way of being is geared towards overcoming and moving forward no matter what obstacles he has to face on the way. The tools he has at his disposal make sure of it. The way he works on and treats himself is that way he works on and treats anything else. Because the constant in everything you do is you, and how you do something is how you do everything. Okay? Embodying your unique expression of the archetype of the consistent king is the goal of this course. And that's another thing that could be mentioned. It's not just me focusing on the behavioral and mindset kind of stuff that you need to know in order to even comply to a training program or diet plan. It's also this bigger kind of thinking. It's not just about a body. It's about the man that builds that body. That not only do I think that approach is more effective, I also think it's more enjoyable. Like, this is not just about forcing yourself to do shit so that you can get that body you want. No, you're building yourself into this individual that externalizes that body. Like I always say, the external is a manifestation of the internal. But so, if we're just going to talk about how the course looks like, the format is 4 hours in total of lectures, Professor Theo style, like this, free-flowing talks, but in a structured order. So there's gonna be different modules like, subjects, big subjects that contains many different lessons. Each lesson is presented in a free-flowing talk like this, but it's all organized so that it's easy to follow in an order that makes sense, and that's easy to go back to if there's something you want to fresh your memory on. So the idea is, of course, for you that not only vibe with my philosophy, my approach to things, but just my way of presenting things freely like this, doing it like that, but putting it into an order, structure like that. And there's always a text summary at the end of each lesson, just pinning down the most important points that were made in the lesson and any task I gave you to do. Because, like I've said, there is a Consistent King template, structure, program, but there's going to be some blanks for you to fill out. So yeah, on some of the lessons, you're going to be given different steps to take. In the end, you're going to have filled out your Consistent King form, so to say. Yeah, so you are given, like we already talked about, this program, this overall structure for everything like training, diet, sleep, mindset. There are some rules, some tools, some exercises for that. I don't want to spoil too much here before you're in there, right? But there is a plan. There's like a program for all of this. But there are also tactics, okay? Because that's the thing. True consistency for me is, of course, someone that has this solid plan that they can and want to adhere to for most of the time. But true consistency for me is not having to be dependent on that. That, in fact, when you have to improvise, when a curveball is thrown your way or something, you have some kind of plan to stay consistent, do some kind of different backup option, right? But also, that's what one of the things I learned when I got into all of this is that one mistake people do is thinking, they have this black and white thinking that they need to be perfect in order to follow something. And it leads to making one mistake, just letting it escalate, right? And so apart from the program, there are many different tactics for how to actually make the program happen in the first place, but also if you're there, oh, okay, I did slip up somehow, or oh, some kind of curveball was thrown my way, or oh, I actually want to step outside this now because there's this party coming up or something. There are many different tactics and strategies in order to achieve that, right? But then I put this to not forget for myself, the info. So like I said, many people, they over-educate themselves. You know, we don't have an education problem when it comes to fitness, we have an application problem. But there are certain things that are good to know. Even being given a training program and a diet plan to follow, certain facts are good to know. So what I did here was like condense and just focus on pretty much about training, about diet, about these things. I just had this section where like, this is all that truly matters. There are the nuances that could be made. You can pick up my training book for that, for instance, on training, but this is what truly matters. Everything else, just forget about it. If you focus on these things, follow the plan, the program, applying the tactics here, you're gonna get there in the end, okay? So yeah, that is what it looks like. There are modules, big subjects containing lessons, me presenting them in different lectures, giving you the overall structure, giving you the little tasks when you have to fill in some blanks in the structure. I give you all the tactics for how to make it actually happen, keep the game train going, if you will, and the info, the essential info about all these things, right? And so we'll talk about the template and flexibility. I mentioned like there's some that's gonna need to be flexible for you, that you're gonna fill in some blanks. But now if we're talking flexibility as in, let's put it this way, I made this into one general template. For, you know, when you work with one person, of course, you look at their life. How does things look like for them and where are they at and something. But here, it's what I come up with when I'm like a random individual that I want to transfer what I know, what I do, the kind of results that I have, what would I do then? That's what the entire regimen of the Konsistent King is. And I'll tell you this, that I made it the way I made it for a very good reason, okay? But, of course, it might be the case that some stuff in the program is just very, very difficult or not even possible for you in your current living situation. I always give options. I tell you how to do it. The more just straight from the paper, on the dot, you can follow the Konsistent King template, the better. But if you're gonna have to make some different choices, it is possible. I give you some pointers for that. And we're talking about the goals we can reach here. It is, of course, becoming a jacked or ripped, it depends on what your archetype, your unique expression of this is, right? Jacked, ripped, disciplined, stress-resilient, productive man with high mental clarity, well-being. I should put testosterone in there also, like this kind of lifestyle that we're gonna learn through the course, that's definitely the kind of outcome it leads to. Before we go, if I am to just describe who the ideal candidate for this course would be, it's honestly, it could work for anyone. Like if I think of age and even like women, even if it's called Konsistent King, there's really nothing that I think only men should do that's in here. I guess the training program, I would put a bit more emphasis on the butt. If it was for a woman, there is still butt in it, but point, you see, it really doesn't matter with man, woman, or how old you are. I would say whoever is in the midst of building themselves up, you know, when it comes to good habits and lifestyle and that, it doesn't matter if you're completely new to a thing like gym and following a diet, or if you've tried and kind of failed and gone back and forth many times, because how many people haven't done that? The point is, whoever wants to finally fucking become consistent with this, building the lifestyle so that you never have to build it again. Now you can just follow it, right? That's the entire idea with this course, that if you can nail the regimen, the loop of the course, that's a concept that's going to come up in the course, okay? The entire loop, the entire structure, the entire regimen, if you can nail and adhere to that as good as 100%, you know, taking these backup options, tactics in mind, now you are the consistent king. Now you can move on from of course it's not, you're not supposed to follow this forever, right? When you can nail it like that, now you can gradually transition into your unique version of the consistent king regimen, your consistent kingdom, your royalty, right? But the idea is that now you never have to build the traits, to the knowledge or traits in order to be able to do this ever again. Now you are that character. Now the question is just like, how far you want to go from there. Okay, guys? That's it. Obviously, I'll link the course down in the description. My training book could make sense to pick up along with it if you want to also deepen your training knowledge, but I will go through the most essential things to know when it comes to training. Like and comment, guys, if you have any questions. If there is enough, maybe I'll just summarize them in a pinned post and keep updating the comment on the video. And if there, by the way, if I'll notice as the course starts running, people get in, that there are recurring questions, I can always go in and add lectures if I see it's necessary. So yeah, guys, I hope to see many of you in there. Leave your comments, questions, stuff like that. Yeah, that's it. Welcome to Consistent Kingdom.